playtime is over. Get your Prepared Mind merchandise at thepreparedmind.club. Help keep free speech free and spread the word about the need to prep.
Hello and welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I thought I did this video a long time ago, or maybe a short while ago, but it turns out I didn't. I found some notes on it and I thought today would be a great day to get to it. It's the watering hole. And what do you know? I don't have drink. I'm going to grab a scotch. Stay tuned. Okay, scotch in hand, all is good. We're going to discuss the watering hole. You know, it's the number 2 prep we talk about, but it's the one prep you can't live without. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, having a plan, all that is, you have to have it all. Water, you can go a week without food. You can go more than a week without food. About 2 days without water and you're going to be toast. Right? 3 days, 2 days you're cramping up, you're out of energy, you're laying there, lethargy. 3 days you're just dead. And the hotter it is, the worse it is and the faster it goes. So the watering hole. I like to use the analogy that it's one of the most dangerous places on the planet. It just is. It always has been. So if you live in a city or an area that has a lot of water, most of this video won't apply to you, but some of it will. But having no water, much of this nation is arid or has one river running through it, right? Or one creek or one stream, whatever you want to call it. But in areas where water is scarce, there's going to be a lot more conflict. There's just no way around it. Right, so my number 1 recommendation, especially if you're in one of these areas, is to have an adequate water supply pre-SHTF, right, before shit hits the fan. And we're going to get into why in just a minute. But before shit hits the fan, it's a good idea to have as much as possible. Because the watering hole presents a huge risk. Water is a resource, right? It's a resource. So it's not just something you drink. If you think about it, it's a resource. Now, companies fight for it. Cities fight for it. They use eminent domain to take water from one area that's not being used and take it to another area. And then the area that had it taken, they're like, hey, we were saving that water for ourselves. And the other city or state says, well, you weren't using it, so we're using eminent domain. In California, I've witnessed this several times, and there have been many, many water wars here. So if water, while we're in good times, is worth fighting for, worth politically and legally going to war over, what do you think is going to happen when shit hits the fan? So definitely have the maximum water supply on hand. Right? And additionally, I'm going to say head on over to the club, the preparedmind.club. Go to the water section and take a look at the items that we sell there, because some of them may apply to you. Now, how does water play into this at the watering hole? If you've got to leave your place to go where the water's at, a couple of things are happening. Number 1, you are expending energy to walk to, get water, and then carry it back. Whether it's 100 feet, 100 yards, or a quarter of a mile or more. That's a lot of energy that you're expending. Number 2, it takes time. How much time you have in a day when shit hits the fan and what you do with it. You're going to want to allocate it as best as possible. And you're going to want to conserve energy to the maximum. Right? To the maximum. You want to maximize the good stuff and minimize the bad stuff. Right? And there is a great deal of risk in going to the water hole. Like I said, water is a resource. So let's take a look at Africa. You think about the watering hole, right? The rivers have run in the winter, they fill up these large ponds, and animals know you got to go there. Every day they go, every day they come back. And who is waiting at the watering hole? Predators, lions, tigers, hyenas, crocodiles. That's what waits at the watering hole. They look for an easy target. Right? They're there to victimize. Now, thinking about criminals in the Old West, right? The wagon train is coming through, or the stagecoach, and they've got to water their horses. What better place for a criminal, not a criminal mastermind, but a criminal to be, right? Is to wait there, because they know people have to come to that watering hole. And it's there that they get to do their deed, right? That's their line of business, their work. They're predators. So when shit hits the fan, one of the places you're not going to want to be is at the watering hole. Right? So let's imagine the water all turned off, electricity's out, shit has hit the fan, you hear gunshots, fires are burning, sirens, no sirens, and you've got 2 days worth of water. On day 3, you've got to go out. Who else is going to be out there? How long is it going to take for everyone to figure out that since there's no water coming out of the tap, they need to go to the river? What do you think is going to happen down at the river? There's going to be conflict, because people are the biggest threat when shit hits the fan. Getting water is no problem. Eating food is no problem. Bundling up, really not a problem. Dealing with people is a problem. So, by having the maximum amount of water that you can possibly store, and I don't mean filling your living room to the ceiling and having a path that narrowly goes through everything. I mean within reason. But don't you think it'd be a good idea to have at least 2 weeks of water? A liter per person per day in the winter, and maybe 2 liters per person per day in the summer, if you live in a hot and dry area. Right? Why? So that you can minimize your contact with other people. Right? Because that first few days, it's going to start getting stupid. Bad things are going to happen. Right? So going to get water while everyone else is around is going to do what? It's going to expose you to their scrutiny. But let's start with number 1. Water is a resource. If there are very limited resources or access to that resource, you face the risk of a bandit, right? A thief, a murderer, somebody that wants to knock you over and take what you have, right? Whether it be your guns, your clothes, right? Who knows what they want from you, because everyone's going to be desperate. Everyone's after something else, but they know the watering hole is a good place. But let's just say you're not accosted on the way to the water. You get to the water, it's a resource. Who's the most likely candidate to be controlling that resource? A government, right? Even if it's the local government, some water master who says, I'm here to take care of everything, and we're gonna charge a little bit of something, or you need to barter for it. Someone's going to set up a trade payment system to get water, right? You're going to have to pay someone else who has decided that they're going to control and own that water. So it could be a government entity, or it could be a marauder, right? A gang of thugs that are going to extract a toll from you to get some water. Now, let's just say you went to the preparedmind.club. You got some 5-gallon collapsible water buckets. That'd be great. They fold up nice and neat and flat. Go in the backpack while you hike to the creek. You fill them up, right? You just lug them back. Well, you've got 2 full containers of water, and you're heading back to your place. Now you're a great target. You're carrying 10 gallons of useful product that you may or may not have had to pay money for, and someone else would be very desirous to have. Right? Obviously, they see you with a smart way of doing things. So maybe they mug you and take your water. So now they have collapsible water buckets. Or maybe they want to follow you back. Right now you're demonstrating that you have paid attention, that you're a prepper of some sort, at least a thinking person, and so the desperate human being is going to look at you as a potential source of other items of interest. They could be hungry, so they're going to think, well, maybe he has food. They're going to think, well, he doesn't walk with a limp, not bleeding everywhere, doesn't have any bullet holes. Maybe that person has good protection, right? Useful items, right? Maybe your boots will give you away because you have really nice boots, good hiking boots instead of sneakers or flip-flops, right? So you are now a prime target. People are going to be watching you, so don't get followed back to the bunker, right? The lair, the hideout, the shit it's the fan, secret super place, right? So there's going to be a lot of threat with this concept of water. So in order to bypass that, it'll be best to have all the water on hand you can get, right? So bottled water, having 55-gallon or 35 or 25-gallon drums, right? There's water-safe drums that are available, and there are collapsible bladders that are large. Now, let's just say the shit hits the fan, the lights go out, so there's no power. But you go over to the faucet and you open it and water comes out, and you're like, oh, we still have water. Water is good. What's powering that? It could be just gravity, right? Water in a water tower. It'll flow until that's empty. But maybe there's no generator. And even if there is a generator, are they going to run out of fuel to pump water out of the well up into the city water tower? You just can't know. Maybe someone's going to steal all the fuel out of that generator for their car so they can get away. Remember, it's shit, it's the fan. People are going to have all kinds of different needs, concerns, and priorities. It may be a good idea to have a collapsible bladder system or several of them that you can fill at your house. Power goes out. There's no good reason for it. The power's just out. Turn on the radio in your car and you get an emergency broadcast, hey, nuclear bomb, hey, electromagnetic pulse weapon, EMP, whatever it is. You're like, well, this could be a shit it's the fan event. Might be a good idea to get a garden hose and fill those water bladders up. If you've got 20-gallon bags or 50-gallon bags or 200-gallon bags, whatever size is available, as soon as the power goes out. It's kind of like filling your bathtub up when there's a snowstorm. Power's going to go out. You can use that water to cook with, drink with, pour in the toilet to get it to flush, whatever. But understanding that if you can, right, store as much water as possible, and in the event of an emergency, you get as much more filled on premise at your place to avoid at all costs going out to that watering hole. Right? The watering hole is going to be extremely dangerous. It's going to be a massive risk. But, let's just assume that you have to go to the watering hole. And whether it's government controlling it or some criminal faction that's decided they own the water and they're going to charge you for it. And even that's not good. What if they go, well, that person, they've come down here every other day with 5-gallon buckets and they brought water. Right? They keep giving us food or whatever it is we demand for barter. They must have a lot more stuff stored. Pretty soon those watering hole criminals are going to be thieves in your face. And they're not going to show up in the daylight. They're going to wait till it's after dark. They're going to case you out. They're going to see what kind of defense you have. Right? They're going to find out. They may ask you some questions and, appear to be nice. They may, if it's a government entity, ask you for your address. Well, what address are you staying at? We need to write this stuff down. Right? That type of information is going to be used against you. When shit hits the fan, giving out information is going to be used against you by someone. Whether you say it for them to write it down, or whether they ask you, hey, how you guys doing? Oh, we're doing fine, got no worries. 4 days later, hey, here's your water, how you guys doing? Hey, not a problem at all. Well, if they're hearing from everyone else, getting hungry, running low on food, this sucks, and you're like, no big deal, it's like camping. They're going to start thinking you've got something they want. So that is why I am going to insist, right, that the best prepped people have so much water that they don't have to go out in public. They don't have to expose themselves. Right? Water is, it's one of those things you can't live without. You can't go without it, right? You can't live without it. You can't cook, right? It's just essential. You don't want to go out and expose yourself. You don't want to be cased. You don't want to be mugged. You don't want to be followed back. You don't want to have stuff stolen from you. But let's just say that you've got no choice. 2 weeks into it, people are still milling about. There's trouble here and trouble there, but now you have to go. You've gone through 2 weeks of water. You've used everything, right? And I'm going to say that water conservation will be key. Unfortunately, that means some people are going to have to smell more than others, right? You're not going to get long, hot showers with lots of fragrant soaps, right? You're going to be conserving water. You're in a low water use area. By conserving water, you're going to reduce your exposure. You're going to save energy carrying it and going and getting it. And you're going to save that time. And it can be used for other things, other chores, other missions, right? But let's just say you finally run out of water. And there's still people around. And of course, they're not less desperate. You're 2 weeks in or 3 weeks into a shit it's the fan scenario. You're going to see people who are even more desperate, even more fearful. How are you going to get water at that point? At this point, you've got to go out. You know, hopefully you've managed to lose a little weight, say in 3 weeks. So your cheeks are a little more hollow, right? So you look skinny. You're not going to want to look really fresh and good. You're a prepper. You've been eating really well. You've been drinking lots of water. You've done really good up to this point. You don't want to look like a picture of health while everyone else looks like they just got over surviving the plague. Right? So, if you're going to have to go get water at this point, and there's still a high threat level, I'm going to say you better have a prepper group. You'd better have a prepper group that's well armed. Because when you finally make your appearance, and you're certain it's extremely dangerous, and in fact, I hope you have somebody that is good for recon, someone that can be gray and go out and case them out. Get a look at them, the people along the way, this path that you would go to the watering hole. Is anyone in charge of the watering hole? You know, hopefully you've got someone who's clever enough, smart enough, slick enough to talk to a few people and figure out what the fuck is going on. And when you guys come out, you're going to want to have a great deal of protection. Because if there is the threat, right, the threat of being accosted, assaulted, murdered, you're going to need to defend yourselves. And once again, this is not because you want Honey Nut Cheerios instead of regular Cheerios. We're talking about getting water. Critical for survival. Absolutely critical. So, that defense team, it's going to come in, right? We talk about food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. This may be one of those areas where you've avoided it up to this point. You've stayed at your place with your food and your water. You've defended yourselves, driven people away, whatever the case, but now you're going to have to go out in the open. Now you're going to have to expose yourself. You're going to reveal to other people. Would you rather reveal to them that you're one person or two people with water buckets who don't limp quite as bad as others or look like you're more energetic than the average? 3 weeks into shit it's the fan, there's going to be a lot of hungry, tired, scared people. So do you go out and you look like you're just a couple and that you're an easy target? Or do you go out, say, in a squad of 6 or 12? 12 people who are well armed, who are coordinating with each other as they walk, who aren't bristling like porcupines, but have a calmness about them, right? Maybe you'll be carrying guns just like everyone else, but you're going to look like a force that is what? Not to be fucked with. Again, if you didn't have to go out for the water, you wouldn't go out for the water. But you've got to now go to the watering hole. And once you get there, once you guys get loaded up on water, once you establish that, do you make it back instantly, or do you make sure you're not being followed and try and disguise to the best of your ability where you're going to go back to? Now, you may attract a lot of attention from 1 people, 2 people, 3 people, right? What if they start following you? How do you stop them? Right? How do you keep them from following you back to your place? What are they going to do? Are they going to ask you for food? There's all of these things to consider, and it's important. You know, you tell them just back the fuck up, back off, and if you follow me, I'm going to put a bullet in you. Is that what you're going to have to say to them? Right? What if it's government? What if there's a couple of policemen that are running the watering hole? They're not going to stop you, but they're going to notice there's 12 of you and only 2 of them. Are they going to make notes? Are they going to demand things? How are you going to answer them? While you can't know all of this all at one time, right? Maybe they're still friendly. Who knows? Maybe they're not. You know, are they going to be demanding? Are they going to stop you? Is there going to be a gunfight at the OK Water Corral? All of those things, hopefully, you kind of think about before you put yourself into each level of the situation as you get closer and closer and closer. Remember, I mean, you can avoid the early conflicts that are going to occur, 3 days, 5 days after shit hits the fan. There's going to be a lot of stupid and a lot of dangerous. But a few weeks in, there's still going to be that element of desperation. Right? Hopefully everyone's getting along and it's all sunshine and daisies. But the odds are it's not going to be. So what happens now? You get your water, your group makes it back, you make sure you're not followed. Right? Everything seems cool. You figure you can do that every 2 or 3 days maybe. But what do you have now? Now you've got water from an unreliable source. The thing least I would think that you would worry about is poison. Right? Someone poisoned the watering hole. Right? Maybe they have. Right? So boiling poison, I don't know if that'll cure it. And I really do think that poison's a low thing, but maybe it isn't. Maybe someone's poisoned it trying to get rid of people. Like I said, people are freaks. There's a lot of people with strange ideas. Maybe on the water source there's a business, right? And someone drained all their crap into the water. You're going to need filtration. Not just sanitizing material like chlorine. But you're going to need filtration. Something that removes everything but the water. Poison, I think, is pretty low. Chemicals, whatever. Pretty low, but it'd be important. Good idea to have sanitation or filtration. But probably more common than that, you're going to have giardia. You're going to have bacteria. You're going to have pathogens in the water. It's the fan. There could be dead people, animals that have fallen into the stream or the pond, right? Polluting it. You're definitely going to want to make sure you have proper water filtration and sanitization. You don't want to get poisoned or sick from dirty water. Doesn't do you a lot of good to go through all the trouble to get to this point 4 weeks in, right? And you end up dying from dehydration because you have diarrhea from drinking bad water. So water is not simple. At the start, right now, it's simple. Oh yeah, I got lots of water. But as you get into shit hitting the fan, right, it's going to continue. It's going to persist. Water is something we just can't do without. People say, yeah, after 2 months, it doesn't matter. Who's left living is going to live. Right? People won't be shooting each other anymore. There's no need for more than a couple months worth of ammunition. I guess you could make that argument, but you can't say, all you need is a couple months worth of water. Well, once you get past that, you still have to get more water. It's going to be a continuing resource that you need to get. So, the watering hole, danger. Stay away from it as long as you can. Get as much water as you can prior to shit hitting the fan. And if you have the ability, shit hits the fan and you can fill up, right, large reservoirs, bladders or barrels, to keep stored in a back room, in the garage, out back, wherever you need to keep it. Very important. Additionally, if you've got a roof with gutter system on it, you can get rainwater and collect it. That's another way. It just depends on where you live. Some places down south get rain every day, no worries. Other places you get rain once a year. I'm thinking Arizona here. Water's going to be absolutely critical. Fire water. Gonna need to be careful with that. All right. Chance favors the prepared mind. Head over to the preparedmind.club and get into some conversations in our chat rooms, the blogs about water, and go into the water hole and how you can handle it there. Thank you guys for coming to Patreon. Thank you for supporting the channel. Things are looking screwy out there. It's looking screwy. There's one name out there that's going to come out in the FBI in the next couple of days. And it's really interesting. He's the director of counterintelligence for the FBI. And I'm really hoping that he's going to be the one that sets everything in motion. Right? But if he does, if he gets the dark state, if he gets them, right, if he exposes them, if he rolls over, if he snitches, whatever you want to call it, they could pull the plug on us and hit QAnon's major false flag. And we don't know what it's going to be. We need to be prepared. We need to be prepared. And water is huge. All right, guys. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon.